Why won't you go to the UK and make jokes about Islam?
I don't think it's very funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused. Dude.
Okay, let me help unconfuse you. Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
Wait, I don't want to. I don't want to go to this particular rabbit hole.
Oh, no. You're terrified. You're a hypocrite.
What?
Are there jokes you can make about Islam? Muhammad banged a little girl, right?
I'm really baffled.
Come on. You're terrified of this subject. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
In the UK, you can be jailed for making jokes about Islam or even bring up the grooming gangs. There are people who go online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it. I'll bet you $1,000 you will not go to the UK and make a joke about any of that stuff, because you will not go to a foreign country and, in violation of their laws, speak out against what they've said not to speak out against. Do it. I dare you. $10,000. Cash in your pocket if you go to the UK and make a joke about Muhammad having a 12-year-old wife.
This we got here faster than I thought we would in this conversation. Where you're shouting at me about something I don't understand. I don't really understand how you would think it's incumbent upon me.
Do you think anybody watching this right now thinks you are confused by the notion that in the UK you go to jail for mocking Islam?
I don't understand how we got onto you shouting at me about Islam specifically. I'd like to return to
okay. It's because you said people should be allowed to come to this country and speak out against it, and you said you're a comedian, and you go to other countries, right? And you said you go to the UK, and I said, okay, if you go to the UK, speak out in violation of their laws and see what happens. And you said, I'm confused. I don't understand. What don't you understand? Will you go to Turkey? Will you go to Turkey and speak out against Islam?
I mean, if I have a joke to make, sure. I don't have a joke about those particular topics.
You would.
I would.
You're saying if you had a joke about.
Oh yeah. Sure. I would try to do the best I can. I always try to poke the bear as much as I can. It's part of the job of a comedian.
Nothing to poke the bear about as it pertains to one of the world's largest religions. I mean, come on.
I mean, I haven't written a joke about that recently. All right.
Then
so
look,
hey man, I'm a free speech guy, right? I think that something that's nice about America is that we're a country that has that value, and that we don't generally think that you should be tossed into a van and kicked out of the country for expressing an opinion. I think that it is a change. I think it's a change in America to most people around the world to feel that, oh, wait, if I go to America and I express a mild opinion about their foreign policy in my own student paper, or maybe on a stage or maybe somewhere else, I could be, without any warning to me, accosted by 6 people on the street, thrown into a van, and taken out of the country.
Oh, come on,
right?
accosted.
Oh, let me finish.
Don't load the
I think that's a strain. I think that's a new idea for a lot of people, that America is that type of country. I think that Donald Trump's purpose is to turn America into that type of country. I think that that's bad. I think it makes the country smaller. I think it makes the country worse. I think it's a violation of most of the values that I grew up with as an American. And that's my view of what's happening in the country. Now, if you want to say, hey, I don't like free speech for foreign nationals who are in the country who express mild opinions about other countries' foreign wars, then that's your prerogative. It's a big difference between us that you don't like free speech in that way.
I mean, that's loaded language, right?
Yeah, all the language you're using is pretty loaded.
Well, you keep using adjectives to describe things, to diminish one thing while exacerbate or exaggerate something else.
I do use the English language to express my thoughts and opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's straw manning. It's not a legitimate attack of the ideas, right? So accosted on the street. Come on. She was arrested. Okay. She was arrested by a relatively large group of men compared to what a normal arrest would require, which I think they didn't need to do and was silly. So we can say she was arrested by several men, unmarked or plain clothes, which didn't need to happen. But I don't need to say like she was accosted by men on the street and like it was about a mild opinion. It's like, okay, listen, the facts of the case, like I said, I don't like the idea that people come to this country and then try and tell us how to do, how to live our lives.
You're not for free speech. I understand.
I think American citizens have self-determination and sovereignty. And I will say this even of the Canadians who keep coming here and they keep getting involved in our politics. I'm friends with some of them, but I think it's fair to say that there is an issue with Canadians, largely conservatives, who come to this country and then start advocating for conservative values in a country they're not from. So, to be fair, there are liberals Canadians who do it too. I find it to be silly. That being said, Canada as a bordering nation with a largely overlapping culture is a morally different question, but still applies in much the same way principally. So I do take issue with foreigners coming to my country.
It's a nice white country, so we like it.
Canada's they call it what, the most multicultural country in the world, I think. Mm-hmm. They big on immigration. I think Toronto is considered to be the most multicultural city in the world.
Yeah.
So Canada actually is. You can call it a nice white country. That's technically the truth, but it also is very, very much in favor of immigration and diversity and all these things, largely what many of the conservatives who come here are speaking out against. But without you know,
this is a country where if you're from another country and you're in America, don't say anything about our politics, or you could be forcibly removed from the country. You're comfortable with America being that kind of country.
Marginally.
That's something that's like that's a value of yours. Those are your values.
See, you're doing it again.
No, I'm trying to
I'm
understand what you actually believe.
Yeah, I would say marginally it's a good
because I think that's a point of distinction.
It's
like
it's
useful in a conversation like this to be like, okay, I have my value, you have your value, and my value is like I really like it when people say what the fuck they think about any country's politics.
We can simplify it. My value would just be, to whatever mathematical degree, American sovereignty supersedes the right of foreigners to speak about our policies.
But in this case,
that's just my value.
So you think that literally any time America is exercising its sovereignty, that's like a good thing in that particular case? Like, because
what does that mean?
Like,
you're a guest in our Mark. With all due respect, I think I said it like 6-7 times. You're a guest in our country. Adhere to the rules. That's it. That includes conservative Canadians, conservative Brits. That's Carl Benjamin. That's Paul Joseph Watson. That's Viva Fry. That's Seth Rogen. And it's also
okay. So all those people
they got deported,
should not speak about American national interests, like the Suez Canal. We shouldn't say the Panama Canal or like is Puerto Rico a state or not? Visa. They should not speak about American politics.
You can speak about what you want, but speech has consequences.
I mean,
doesn't it?
Okay, so we can move on. I'll say, to me, that's a radically different America than I thought I grew up in. And I think it's fucked up that we're becoming that kind of country. I think it's really bad.
You think that's true.
Yeah, you don't believe I think that's true?
Well, I mean, I suppose I
like what I just said. I believe you're like, you don't believe that.
Well, because if we go back several administrations, that's not been the case ever. I mean, look at New York in the 2000s when the Bush administration rounded people up, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Bush, during the Bush years, and they put 200 people in like a bus. They locked them in a bus cage.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's the country you grew up in. The idea that these things haven't been happening. George Carlin got arrested for swearing. We had blasphemy laws on the book.
Yeah, it was bad. And then we said, we shouldn't do that anymore.
And it never changed. The idea that you think you grew up in a nation where you could say whatever you wanted is an absurdity. George Carlin went to jail for swearing.
And that was good, you think?
No, it wasn't.
And you think it's good that Rumeysa Öztürk is being forced to leave the country?
She's not a citizen. So she's on a conditional visa as conditioned by the INA and the existing administration and the will of the voters.
Okay, but you're arguing.
No, my argument
you're arguing that
Öztürk's
deportation makes sense because George Carlin was arrested for swearing.
No. You said I grew up in a country with free speech, and I said, no, you did not. And it's never been true.
And you're like, okay, you're right. So under your view, America is a country that doesn't have free speech, never had free speech.
Yes.
And that's a good thing.
No.
Because we're exercising our sovereignty.
No.
Okay, but you think it's a good thing that Rumeysa Öztürk doesn't have free speech?
Can you understand the distinction between a non-citizen here on a conditional visa and an American citizen being arrested for swearing?
I understand that there's a distinction. I don't think that either of those people should be treated differently in that case.
Let me say this.
I don't agree with you, man.
This country has never had free speech.
Okay, I think
it's a fact. When the founding fathers finalized the Constitution,
do you think we should have free speech?
Yes, but there are limits on what free speech is based on the moral worldview of the individual arguing it. For instance, do you believe someone should be allowed to direct someone to commit a violent crime?
that's
Yes or
not
no?
that's not the moral worldview of an argument. That is the effect of the speech. So you think that whether you have free speech should be your words should be based on the moral worldview of the argument.
So to understand
certain
your
arguments,
view of what free speech means, I'm asking you a question. If somebody says explicitly, you right now commit crime to that person, is that free speech?
Someone says you right now commit crime to that person, and what do they do it?
Yes.
I mean, I guess I'm not a free speech scholar, but like that is there's probably be legal consequences for that free speech.
It is illegal to do that. Do you think someone should be able to yell fire in a crowded theater?
I mean, this is the canonical example of a speech that's not free speech. So.
It actually is. That's Brandenburg v. Ohio. It is, in fact, legal speech. I don't think people should. I understand the Supreme Court's ruling on that issue. The challenge with free speech, let's go back to the beginning of this country. Blasphemy laws were on the books after they even had the First Amendment. Like they literally say you can't blaspheme. We would say that's not free speech, but how did you have a First Amendment if you arrested people for blaspheming? My point is, and this is an anarchist philosophy, the laws of the country are dictated by those with the power to enforce it. That's why it used to be illegal to put a pie on your windowsill, but even though it's still illegal, nobody arrests you for it. So free speech does change throughout the generations.
Of course.
We never grew up in an era, we never had a time in our lives where you had true free speech the way the absolutists want it to be.
Yeah, I'm talking about the story that we tell about ourselves as a country, man. I'm talking about
not true.
I'm talking about the values that we have collectively as people. And of course, those are always changing a little bit and people are trying to pull them in one direction or another.
Split in half.
I would have thought, that like, I don't know that much about you. I know you're very involved with Occupy and stuff like that and protest movements, which I think is cool work. I would have thought that like a student writing an op-ed about another country's war and her own institution's support for it, vis-a-vis our country's foreign policy would be the kind of thing that you would think is a sort of free speech that we should value. That is the kind of free speech that I think, I personally think like a lot of the idea of America is built upon. I think it's one of the good things about the country, that this is a country where you can come here and you can express your opinion mildly in the newspaper.
What happened at Kent State?
And I think Kent State was bad.
My point is, there's things we wish America was. But I kind of feel like a non-citizen.
But this one you said you think is good. You're not sitting here going, man, yeah, that's a bummer.
She got deported, dude. What are you talking about? She didn't get shot in the face. A conditional visa was revoked. I'm not crying about it. I don't care.
I mean, I think she cares. I think her family cares.
Bad.
I think the people of her university care. I think
change the law, man. This is a marginal issue for a single person who was in violation of the INA as it's enforced by a government that was elected by a popular majority, or I should say by a plurality, but the popular vote. So let me pull this up because this is what we were talking about earlier. This is RCP from April 22nd. Every age bracket, to be fair, 40-49 is a tie, but Real Clear Politics aggregate shows from all of the latest polls, 70 plus is the only age group that is a negative view of Trump's job.
Okay. I'm just trying to.
This is a popular majority.
I'm just trying to make sense of your position around free speech because you agree with me about all the past things in America that you're talking about. Kent State, you're talking about George Carlin and all these other things, and these were bad abrogations of free speech.
Indeed, deportation is not a murder. You're going home. I'm giving you a ride home.
But
if you came to my house, I let you in the door. I said, you can hang out tonight. And you started shit talking my brother. I say, bro, I'm going to give you a ride home. I don't think you should be here. That's not an affront to someone's sovereignty or free speech. It's like the worst thing that happened to you is I gave you a ride home. Oh, I'm going to cry. She's going home. What's the problem? Home's nice. She was here conditionally. We said, hey, we kind of think you're being a dick. We're going to give you a ride home. That's it.
I mean, when I get a ride home,
Kent State,
6 guys don't normally shove me into a van, and then my family doesn't know where I am. That's How about you're at a bar and you're acting out in some way, and they say, "Listen, buddy, do you feel
security throws you out of the bar?"
Do you feel this woman was acting out? Do you think she was acting inappropriately? Do you think that she was acting?
I've already told you, I did not.
Okay, so then how are you justifying what happened?
I don't think you can.
It's legally narrow that it can happen. Therefore, it's good.
I don't think you know how to separate. I just don't think you know how to comprehend the separation between I have no issue with a woman making her argument. I think it was absurd to claim she's adhering to Hamas because she's critical of Israel. But her visa is conditional, and it is the authority of these United States and the Secretary of State to revoke that. So it's okay. Right? Trump won the popular vote.
What? But
this is the agenda.
Man. Sorry, man. This is the hump that I can't get over.
Clearly.
You don't have any problem with what she actually did, right? But Trump Trump and Rubio had the narrow legal ability to do it.
You're not following.
Do you agree with their decision to do it?
I do not. I think there is a net negative, to a degree, that foreigners come to this country to dictate our politics. Be it Canadian,
I'm sorry,
British.
dictate our politics, or just give their opinion in the newspaper that's dictating?
I'll turn on the language. To come here and advocate for policies of the American people.
So you feel that foreign nationals of all kinds, when they're in the United States, should never speak about our politics ever, upon pain of legal punishment. That is a position that you have about America generally.
Did they agree to it? When they applied for the visa under the INA, did they agree to those terms?
I don't know.
The answer is yes, they did. It clearly states when you're coming here on a condition, you can't do certain things. It literally says you won't protest. And we still would allow them to hold a sign up or something. But maybe if they didn't.
But apparently we don't allow them to hold a sign up.
I don't care.
So I'm not asking about what they agreed to. I'm not asking about the legal justification.
Don't agree to things you don't want to adhere to.
Do you, Tim Pool, believe that as a moral issue, as a practical issue? Do you think that America should be a country in which every foreign national in the country should feel that they should never speak about American politics under pain of legal punishment?
No.
You don't think that that's, you don't agree with that?
You presented me an absolute, right? You gave me the extreme end.
Okay. So Rumesa Ozturk, I think, is a really illustrative example because it was such a mild
understand
version.
That they've made an agreement upon entering this country that if they are in violation of the terms of their visa, it may be revoked. If they come here with the intent of advocating against U.S. foreign policy, that is a consequence. Speech has consequences. I think we're getting hung up on the issue that I've clearly answered, and I understand maybe you don't understand, but we can try.
I think I've pinned you down well enough that like you just like really have a much smaller view of free speech than I do, and I think a lot of Americans do.
I don't think what you said means anything.
I think it's a change to the American spirit. I think it makes the country smaller. It's a shittier country to live in. Is a country where people live in fear of what they say when they're here on a student.
They always have.
Yeah, and that's bad. It's bad to live in fear of saying shit.
This is not. You see, this is here's the issue. I suppose
your whole bullshit culture baiting thing about the Islam stuff in England. If what you say is true, and it may be, I don't know, because I don't really I don't really follow that as you would do.
Never.
But I think it's bad. About that country.
You would never go to the UK and do those things.
If I were now, look, I don't know of the policies of which you speak, okay? But if I were to be in England and I were to make a joke on their stage and I were to be put into a van and removed from a country, I would say this is a bad thing about England, and I think that the country sucks, and I think that they should change it, and I don't think people should go there anymore, and that sucks for them and it sucks for us.
You wouldn't make a joke about Islam in the United States. You wouldn't.
Okay. Sure. What's that meant to prove?
You don't actually believe in free speech. You fear the consequences.
Because I don't make a joke about the topic that you demand me to?
Because this topic in particular has resulted
speech?
in people like at Charlie Hebdo getting murdered.
Yeah, that's bad. It's bad that they were murdered.
South Park tried just showing Muhammad, and Comedy Central wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah, that's bad.
So let's see you stand up for that value and come out and make a joke about Islam.
I've stood up about free speech plenty of times. What are you talking about?
Take it to the next level, brother.
Okay.
How about we do this? You believe in free speech.
Dude, this is what you do when you've lost an argument, is that you just jump to this. You just jump to this. What? What'd you say?
You brought it up.
What did I? Oh, the Islam piece of it. Yeah, no.
And now I'm continuing the conversation, and you're derailing into you must have lost the argument.
No, because
let's stand up for South Park, for Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
I stand up for them.
So go on stage and show a big picture of Muhammad.
I'm sorry. What the thing that you're doing?
Stand up for free speech, brother. Do it.
So
I'll do it with you.
So you're demanding me to go on stage and
Prove
do
you
something
care about free
specific,
speech.
and unless I do, I'm a coward.
I'm saying
This is a bizarre rhetorical move.
Speech.
This is a bizarre rhetorical move.
I didn't call you a coward. I said, prove you care about free speech.
Yeah,
do something that creates real risk to your person for free speech.
Yeah, I speak about shit all the time, dude. I'm happy to live in America where the things I say don't create real risk to my person. In fact, if I were to say the things that you're saying, I would not be creating real risk to my person.
You don't think so?
I do not think so.
Then why not just do it? Prove me wrong.
Because I don't have anything in particular to say about those topics.
Just put a picture of Muhammad up and say, praise be. Prove I'm wrong.
I'm really glad we got here again because it's just very fun to sit in how weird this part of the conversation is.
Remember Charlie Hebdo?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, a bunch of people were shot because they
showed a picture of Muhammad.
Yeah, that's bad.
You think if you did that, they might want to shoot you too?
Yeah, maybe.
So you shouldn't do it. I
mean, I don't have it. Well, you know, the particular images that they showed, I didn't think were like very funny. Like it was their right to do it.
Wouldn't let South Park do it either. They censored the whole thing.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that's bad, and I think that's contrary to American values.
Why won't the free speech people who believe we should live in this country stand up against that?
I'm sorry. I'm not standing up for free speech unless I do what exactly?
I didn't say the only way for you to stand up for free speech is to do something. I said, why won't people who are claiming...
You called me a hypocrite, and I don't understand what's hypocritical about me only doing jokes about the topics that I'm interested in.
That you would not go to the UK and speak in violation of their speech laws.
I mean, I went there. I made fun of their government. I talked about, the fire at Heathrow because that impacted my travel when I was there. I talked about, yeah.
So you can make fun of white people, but you can't make fun of non-white people. You go to jail for that.
Okay, yeah, I think that would, if it's as you say, that sounds like if it applied to me as a comedian,
I would not.
I think it would say that's a bad law.
I would not go to Turkey and speak out against Islam, and I would not go to the UK and violate their speech laws.
Oh, okay. So are you a coward? What's your point?
No, I actually agree with the sovereignty of nations, and if they have laws, I'm not going to violate them.
Oh, I see. I see the point that you're making. Okay. So when things are legal, they're just.
No.
Okay. So then what is your point?
Your argument is that foreigners should come here.
So one of your values is you should respect the sovereignty of other nations. But again, look, this is a
should we invade China?
This is a recent change in the way that the U.S. prosecutes and selectively enforces the laws that are on the books, and that's what happened to Rumeysa Öztürk, and again, that's like a material change in the spirit and values of America.
Just because I think we spent like an hour on the one subject.
Yeah, I've been having a great time. Yeah,
I agree. It's been fun. I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
In terms, you mentioned that Trump is, it's the makings of authoritarianism and things like that. Do you think that's distinct from any other administration?
Keep going.
Is the authoritarian push from the Trump administration? Obviously, there's going to be procedural distinctions, but I mean, like. Were other administrations not also doing similar authoritarian maneuvers that were a gas?
Yeah, I mean, every single American administration could. I'm sure I can find things that I disagree with. Absolutely.
I think one of the challenges that we have in the United States right now is the people that largely support Trump and voted for him, particularly in his first term and largely carrying over into the second one, non-consecutive, had never voted before. We saw parts of the country that normally don't vote start turning red, start lighting up with new voters. I was at a rally for Trump in Fort Lauderdale, and most of the people that I met were like, I don't vote. I never voted before. So these were new voters, which were like poor, white, working class people. And so what I think we end up seeing happen, especially right now, is for younger voters, it's interesting considering they are shifting to the right, but they also have less memory of administrations past. For me, I voted for Obama. He was an evil man. And I didn't vote in 2016 because I said the system is corrupt. I've lived through, I was a teenager when the Gore v. Bush stuff happened, and I just saw bickering and arguments, and I'm right, then war and bullshit. Then Obama comes around, and I was, how old was I? Like 22 or something, and people were like, you got to vote. I was 21, no, 22. You got to vote for him. He's changed. It's new. He wasn't supposed to win. Hillary Clinton was supposed to be the person, so I voted for Obama. One of the first things he does is he bombs a Pakistani village, kills a bunch of women and children. And I went, holy fuck, stopped voting. Didn't vote in 2016 either. I said, fuck this. Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.